Aloha, this is Roger Haeske. And I wanted to try an experimental video today. Oh, I got to put this on. I want to see how long this takes. I've been getting, a lot of people want to see more videos from me. I'm not primarily someone who's, constantly putting up YouTube videos. I'm not a YouTuber, so to speak, although I definitely put up some videos on YouTube. And my primary mode of communication is by sending emails to my list. And I put together email recently, which I've been writing over the course of a week. And I think it's a particularly good email, deep email, that if you understand it, I think it can help your life. It can help you gain a new perspective. And so I've been trying to figure out, what would be the best way to take this kind of email and just put it on YouTube. And, in terms of speed, the easiest thing for me would be to just read it and make a video of me reading it. I may add some commentary to what I wrote, and you'll get to see my expression as I read it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink this picture down and move it over while I'm reading it. Because I'm going to be reading from the screen here. So let's try this out. Let me know what you think in the comments about the email itself. Of course, if you're on my email list, you would get that. So I'd recommend you go to rogerhaeske.com and sign up for my email list, or any other. There's a bunch of other websites of mine which you could sign up for it. So let me read the email and tell me what you think in the comments. All right, thank you. Bye-bye. Or not bye-bye, but let me shrink myself here. All right, so there I am down there. So this email I entitled "The False Happiness That Is Destroying Humanity." Aloha, Roger, or whoever's getting this email. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who sent in a response to my previous email question, what's the most important thing in life for you? Of course, there's no right answer, since the answer is unique to you. Now, for me, I have a very simple answer to this question of what is most important in my life, or in life to me. And I can answer it in one word. But it's a word that must be properly understood, because while everyone is seeking this one magical thing, most humans currently on the planet end up ruining their lives because they choose the destructive version instead of the constructive. So what is this magical word that is most important in life to me? And that's happiness. Okay? I believe that happiness is at the core of what all humans are seeking. Ultimately, everything we do in life is done with the intention, not always successful, whether conscious or not, to at some point bring us happiness. Even when we sacrifice our own happiness for our children or for a cause, we do it because deep down it makes us happy to do good, or to be of service, or to outflow. It actually gives us happiness. That was my extra commentary. So when Mother Teresa worked with the untouchables in squalid conditions, do you think it made her miserable? Do you think she could have become so famous and world-renowned because she hated every second of what she was doing? No. I suspect it gave her great pleasure to serve these people, or any people who needed help, and to try to improve their lives. She didn't do her work out of a sense of selflessness with no reward for herself. I think she did it simply because it made her happy. It was, her mission in life. Okay? So whether we're seeking financial riches or spiritual riches, or just a great family life, we're all seeking the exact same thing. So we're not directly seeking money, or sex, or a fancy car, or a great house, nor great friends. Those are all great things, but in the end, all of those things are supposed to bring us happiness. So we seek those things for happiness. Everything we do from our jobs, to our family lives, to exercising, to watching TV, to doing drugs. We seek all these things outside of ourselves in the quest for happiness. Now, a number of my email subscribers responded to that question that I sent, that health is most important to them. And of course, I 100% agree that health is wealth, as Jacqueline would say. In addition to that, I think it's important to go even deeper. For instance, what good is having great health if you're unhappy anyway? And of course, health is extremely important, but it doesn't guarantee happiness. And isn't the real reason you want to be healthy is so that you're happy? What if you're very healthy, but you're in a bad relationship where you're always fighting and you're emotionally stressed out? Or you're healthy, but you lost your job and you have no money to buy food. I doubt you'll be very happy under those circumstances or a million other potentially bad circumstances, even though you're healthy. While health can bring great happiness, it isn't happiness, what we're really seeking itself. It's a component of happiness and a happy life. Ultimately, I believe everything we do is done with the intention of bringing us happiness, even if we don't get that happiness immediately. And even if we do self-defeating things, we do it because on some level it brings us happiness, or at one point we thought it would bring us happiness, even if that happiness is only momentary. What I found, and this is key to understand, what I found is that there are at least two major kinds of happiness, and they're far from equal in determining your overall life happiness levels. So number one is happiness with regrets. 2, happiness without regrets. Now, unfortunately, the majority of humanity chooses the first version of happiness for most of their daily activities. And that is why this planet is so freaking messed up or effed up. I mean, the planet is truly effed up, and people are truly, really screwed on much of this planet from themselves, from their governments. I mean, it's really horrific in a lot of places. I can't even imagine living in some of these countries where life is so hellish, and even here it's not as good as it used to be. So, humanity is destroying itself in the quest for happiness, because they most often choose the lower and destructive happiness with regrets. They usually don't even realize they could be a lot happier in every way by choosing happiness without regrets. Okay? So, the drug addict doesn't realize, or let's say the cigarette smoker doesn't realize anymore that they would be way happier if they weren't smoking cigarettes. Yet they would never give up cigarettes, right? Because they feel like without cigarettes, they can't be happy. Where in reality, it's a happiness with regrets. And there are plenty of people living life who don't smoke cigarettes and who are extremely happy and never think about smoking cigarettes. I never think about it. Okay. So the problem is too many people are choosing all sorts of happiness, with regrets, even, spending all their days online and social media. A lot of that can be happiness with regrets because you're not getting anything productive done, or you're not being creative. Now, it depends on, the person. Some people that might be very important for business. But anyway, I'm really going off topic here. So for instance, drinking alcohol can bring short-term happiness, right? You get drunk, you're happy with your friends, your inhibitions are gone, and maybe that can bring you some initial happiness. And of course, most of humanity has been fooled into thinking that drinking alcohol is a great thing that brings them happiness. So annoying to me how culture is programmed. Everyone's programmed to drink. Everyone's programmed to freaking destroy themselves. It's really annoying to me. But anyways, you get the pain of regret later in terms of poor health, memory blackouts, bad things you did while you were drunk, like accidentally killing someone in a car accident. Of course, the pain of hangovers, you're killing off your brain cells, turning yourself into a freaking bleeping idiot, destruction of your liver, destroying your family, etc. And yet, alcoholics may fully realize these things above. And yet, knowing they're destroying themselves, they continue to do so anyway. Why? Because despite all the destruction and havoc that drinking alcohol brings, at least it can make them somewhat happy for a short time. Maybe they can forget all their problems and dull their pains. So instead of maybe not really bringing them happiness, at least it dulls their pain while they're drunk. And so they feel that that's the best choice for them. Well, guess what? Most people on the planet are doing something every day for happiness, and it's destroying them similarly to alcohol. The problem is that this is a lower happiness with a semi-truckload full, I should put full, of regrets. You may have guessed what I'm talking about, and that would be the eating of cooked food. Of course, cooked food brings people tremendous happiness. And I used to be, all the memories, events, everything, the tastes, the flavors. And I used to be one of those people, trust me. But unfortunately, that happiness comes with many, many, many regrets, especially later in life. Because eating cooked food will ruin your life, your body, and brain after 50. You'll have so many diseases, aches, pains, obesity, ancient-looking skin that you can't enjoy life anymore. Not that you can't enjoy life anymore. You shouldn't look ugly just because you're getting older. Okay? That ugliness is not, I am telling you, it is not from old age. Okay? But from years of abusing yourself with cooked food. Now, a little side note, I live in a town in Arizona where there's a lot of older people, a lot of retirees come down here. And being that I'm a raw foodist, and I've been a raw foodist for 17 years, I know the difference between natural aging and what happens to these people. What happens to these people is a total disease process. All the overweight, all the skin that looks like paper, the horrible things that happen to their skin. They just get so ugly. Okay? Literally, humanity is not pretty anymore. Okay? And, it'd be one thing if they're eating a healthy cooked food diet, but even a healthy cooked food diet where you can live a lot longer and be a lot healthier, okay, as opposed to the junk food and all the chemicals and stuff that are in the cooked food that most people eat these days. But even, with these long-lived cultures that are eating cooked food, they still have the damage. They still have cooked food damage. It's very obvious to me as someone who knows what to look for. Okay? So now, let me get back to reading. So you shouldn't get ugly just because you're getting old. That ugliness is not from old age, but from years of abusing yourself with cooked food. Anything and everything that you see in the supermarkets or restaurants, I think I spelled that wrong, you eat without thinking twice about your health. Yeah? I used to never think about what I was eating. If it's in the supermarket and they sell it as food, why not eat it? What's the big deal? Whatever is in there, so what? The people in the supermarkets, those companies, they're telling me that is good for me. I can eat that, sure. And yet, to me, there's only basically one place to get food in the supermarket, and that's the produce aisle. Pretty much everything else, unless you're getting water or something or some other spices or something, whatever. But everything else is just complete garbage for the body. Everything else is destroying you in terms of what you'd be eating. Everything else. So where have I? So, well, and in parentheses, well, at least the majority of humanity is doing this, where they eat anything because someone tells them that it's actually food. Now, of course, my readers are a lot smarter than that, but still, after all these years, many of them haven't figured out how to go raw and love it and stick to it. Like me. For me, it's very easy to stay raw. So now for me, cooked food was already ruining my life in my early 20s with depression. So maybe I was lucky to have a wake-up call so early. Hey, maybe I should separate that. That way I didn't ruin my body, for another 30 years before I figured out that I should have gone raw, before I realized that cooked food was not only ruining my body, but ruining my happiness big time. Okay. So now, for one thing, it ruins your health, cooked food. It also prematurely ages you. Okay. People say that I look young for my age, but it's all genetics. I can categorically tell you that's 100% bullshit. Okay. The very first time I went raw, for 3 days, my skin got way younger looking, tighter. My whole body got like a facelift. It wasn't just the face, the whole body, all the skin felt tighter. Cook food ages you. It makes you look older. It makes you look ugly. There should be no woman who's interested in beauty who would eat cooked food. Stop putting on the makeup. Eat raw food. That's nature's beauty cream. Okay. So now maybe this will be worthwhile to read these because I'm adding in more. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. We'll see. So if one thing, cooked food ruins your health, it also prematurely ages you. It makes your skin look more like a dried out piece of paper than skin. I can never understand the skin of a lot of these people as they're getting older. It's so horrendous looking. And that's cooked food damage. Now, but there's something much worse going on. While cooked food may give your taste buds all sorts of pleasure sensations, I agree, that is where the happiness ends and the pain begins. For as soon as food leaves your mouth and starts going down your throat, that's when the pain of regret begins. And even worse is that when you cook food, you cook the happiness energy out of the food. And so cooked food can only bring you happiness while it's in your mouth. Okay? While you're chewing it and enjoying the flavors. And to me, cooked food can actually give me pain while it's in my mouth. Because after eating raw for so long, I did a cooked food cheat day, I don't know, maybe at this point, I think it may have been like 10 years ago. I think it was a little over 10 years ago. And I ate some hot food and it literally burned my mouth. My friend was eating it. He had no problem because he was a cooked food eater. But my body had adapted so much to eating raw that I was burning my mouth just, from eating a soup. It's like, this, how does anyone eat this? So anyway, you cook the happiness energy out of the food. And so cooked food can only bring you happiness while it's in your mouth. After you start digesting the food, it's actually going to bring you hell. In my case, cooked food was making me depressed for 6.5 years. I had depression and panic attacks. Trust me, that was not fun. Literally, the very first day that I switched to eating just 50% of my diet raw, which is mostly I ate a lot more fruit, my depression went away that very same day. And the higher the percentage of my diet that was raw, the happier I became. Pretty simple. Therefore, I believe it's extremely important to distinguish between the two kinds of happiness. The more often you choose happiness sources without regrets, the truly happier you will feel in life. Now, I have to admit that I don't always choose happiness without regrets. I've often chosen happiness with regrets. My life has been about gradually dropping those habits that gave me happiness, short-term happiness, but with lots of regrets. I eventually dropped cooked food. I dropped drinking alcohol. Before that, I dropped drinking milk and eating dairy, and so on and so forth. I stopped eating meat, and There's all sorts of habits. Eventually, I gave up the TV habit because the TV habit is definitely one with regrets. And of course, the things you remove, you try to replace them with more positive activities that bring you more happiness. So back to the email. So if most of your choices of activities that make you happy also have negative consequences or regrets, then your overall level of happiness will be much lower than it should be. Not to mention that you won't have any chance of fulfilling your ultimate destiny in life. By this point, you may have guessed that eating a raw food diet is a kind of happiness without regrets. When I eat raw, not only do I get incredible pleasure in my mouth, in my taste buds, but my body loves it too. Now, people think I'm giving up so much by having to eat only raw foods. They're so wrong, so wrong. I am not giving up anything. I'm just giving up the pain of regret because I also actually love what I eat. I enjoy what I eat. I couldn't be raw all this time if I didn't enjoy and love what I eat. And I love it more and more all the time, by the way. So, and you can do that too. But I used to be a cooked foodie, and I couldn't imagine living a life eating raw. And now, because I'm into it and used to it, and because I found ways to make it really enjoyable and tasty and fulfilling and satisfying, I'm happy as what do they call it? A pea pod? I don't know. I was trying to think of some saying. I couldn't remember it. But so, raw food doesn't cause me pain to digest it. Although it has at times if I do some bad food combining. Hold on, let me pause the video. I got to turn off the air conditioning. Okay, air conditioning is off. So eating raw gives me. Okay, let's go back. I'll start from reading this paragraph. When I eat raw, not only do I get incredible pleasure in my taste buds, but my body loves it too. Yes. Okay, it doesn't cause me pain to digest it. It has happiness energy inside of the raw food. And eating raw gives me a natural high for no reason at all. Just happiness all the time. I never have to try to be happy. I just am. But that was far from the case in my cooked food days. Now, for years, I've called this to my email subscribers. I've called this happiness that you get from eating raw, happiness from the cellular level. Because your cells are now happy, where they were very unhappy before. Let me tell you. I'm now 51 years of age, and yet my body's more like someone in his 20s. Just look at this video of me shortly after my 50th birthday to see what I'm talking about. So there's one of my videos. You can look it up on YouTube. 50-year-old teenager rants and shows you what is possible or what's possible. So yes, eating raw is the only way to eat and not have regrets as soon as the food starts digesting. I don't care what other diet you're on. If it's not raw, you've got regrets coming. You've got health problems. Now, there are all different levels of cooked food diets. They're really horrible up to, pretty good, and or people mixing some raw and some cooked. Oop, let me put that back on. Okay. But, yeah. So anyway, yes, eating raw is the only way to eat and not have regrets as soon as the food starts digesting. As soon as it leaves your mouth, of course, even your taste buds might have, or even your mouth might have regrets for having cooked food in it. But for the most part, people are enjoying it, and it might even feel good going into their stomach. But once you start digesting, that's when the chaos comes. So now, speaking of raw and no regrets happiness, I've got an exciting announcement. Later this week, I'm going to be launching a brand new video coaching program that is going to be quite affordable. Okay. And it's got huge advantages over traditional telephone or Skype coaching, which I usually do. But because it's going to be so affordable, initially I can only open up 5 slots for founding members. And there is a huge bonus package to make this like a total no-brainer for someone who wants to work with me and finally feel happiness all the time without regrets and get your body up into a super level of health. So not only will I teach you how to achieve levels of no regrets happiness that you could not believe possible by eating delicious and well-balanced raw food diet, but I'm also going to reveal to these 5 founding members 17 different techniques I use to create a natural high at will. Yes, this is like taking drugs, but absolutely with no regrets. Okay. In fact, I have such a natural high while I'm writing this email, which I did. And I have that natural high right at this moment. Now, it's not a kind of high where I'm like, seeing things, but I just feel like $1,000,000. Okay. So also, now here's the cool thing. Some of these 17 natural high techniques actually make you smarter. All right. They improve your memory, your creativity, and at the same time, some of them will open you up to your higher self, your divine self. They'll open you up to divine love, to God. And you will start feeling an incredible bliss because that's what God is. God is love and bliss. So, amongst, I guess, many other things. So, of course, I've already revealed one of those 17 techniques to you today, which is the more raw food, especially sweet fruit that you eat, the happier you will become. So if you eat a raw food diet, that's going to give you a natural high. Once your body gets used to it and acclimated, some people can actually initially experience depression because raw food unmasks all of their emotions, and maybe they haven't dealt with that properly. But basically, your body is going to feel lighter. It's going to feel more electrical. You're going to feel happier. Okay? So, now I can almost guarantee you that if you're still eating cooked food, you're not even close to as happy as you could be. All right? Cooked food short circuits the body's electrical system with less electrical body cells. It just makes it harder for you to feel happiness. You have to struggle to be happy. So why struggle through life and have mountains of regret for a life poorly lived by staying addicted to cooked food? Why should life after 50 be such a misery, when it could be such a pleasure? I mean, I have a body more like a 20-year-old. Why should I, why should I get old? There's no reason to get, super old and really overweight and just have all sorts of issues left and right. I haven't gone to the doctor since, I haven't had like an actual doctor's appointment since 1996. And that's when I found out about Eat to Live. The doctor told me, suggested that I might like reading the book Eat to Live. He was a medical nutritionist. I read that book, and that's when I started again for a second time in my life doing raw food experiments. And then eventually I said, well, if eating partially raw is good, maybe 100% raw is better. And then I tried for many years to go 100% raw for 5 years. I seriously tried to go 100% raw probably at least 30 times. Didn't work until eventually I got my own raw food mentor to help me clear away all the nonsense in my head and give me the confidence that it can be done because he's doing it every day and it was easy for him. So anyway, so if you're eating cooked food short circuits the body's electrical system with less electrical body cells. Okay, it makes it harder for you to feel happiness. You can feel happiness, but you have to struggle to be happy. Now, everyone's different. People are affected by cooked food in different ways, but I can virtually guarantee you that most people, assuming that the rest of their body is healthy enough to realize the benefits of eating raw, that if you're eating raw, you're just going to be happier. Okay. So why struggle through life and have mountains of regret for a life poorly lived by staying addicted to cooked food? Okay, I've already read all this. Anyway, so there's a better way, and I'd love to help you guide you to a paradise life. More details coming soon, including the new name of this video coaching program, which I'm excited to share with you. All right, and that's from me, Roger Haeske. So I don't know if you enjoyed this. I included way more commentary than in the email, so maybe maybe since I included the commentary, and I don't know, it sheds an extra light. So let me know if you like this video. Any suggestions you have would be interesting. Thanks, and so long for now. Aloha. Bye-bye.